All right, so we're going to be looking at Module 6, Day 1. In our objective activities, we'll be able to factor out a number to simplify a square root. So let's first talk about a square root. A square root basically is telling me two numbers that are the same multiplied to get the number inside. For example, I have the square root of 144. What number multiplies by itself to give me 144? Oh, that is just the number 12. The number 12. So I know 12 times 12 gives me 144. So that means the square root of 144 is just 12. At this moment, I want you to pause the video. I want you to see if you're able to give me the square root of 36, the square root of 81, and the square root of 69. And the square root of 36 is 6, and the square root of 81 is 9, and the square root of 69 is 13. Look at this problem. It says simplify the square root as much as possible. 128 is inside the square root. Well, 128 is not a perfect square. And just letting you know, you do have perfect squares document in your Google Classroom that you're able to access. So since 128 is not a perfect square, I need to actually factor it out. A reminder, factoring means two numbers that will multiply to give me 128. So I know 1 times 128 will give me 128. I know that 2 times 64 will give me 128. 3 times something will give me 128. No, but I know 4 times 32 will give me 128. And I think there's one more factor, and it's going to be 8 times 16. I'm going to be listing out all of the factors of 128. As soon as I'm done finding all of the factors, I want to find perfect squares. And perfect squares, remember, are like 1 because 1 times 1 gives me 1. 4 because 2 times 2 gives me 4. 9 because 3 times 3 gives me 9. 16 because 4 times 4 gives me 16. So my perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. I'm trying to find those numbers here in this table, and I'm going to be boxing them. So I boxed the numbers 64 because I know 8 times 8 will give me 64. I boxed 4 because I know 2 times 2 will give me 4. And I boxed 16 because 4 times 4 will give me 16. However, I want the largest number that is a perfect square. And it is this 64. That 64 is the largest number. I'm going to grab that ordered pair, which is 2 and 64. I'm going to be putting those numbers underneath the square root. Since I know the square root of 64 is perfect, it's going to be the number 8. It turns into a whole number because it is a perfect square. And as a reminder, since that square root of 2 is just going to drop down, and this is my final answer right here. I'll show you one more, and this is usually a we do, and it wants me to simplify the square root of 75. Well, 75 is not a perfect square already, so I need to factor out 75. Two things that will multiply to give me 75. I know 1 times 75 will give me 75. I know 5 times 15 will give me 75. And then I know 3 times 25 will give me 75. My next step is to grab the perfect squares. I see the only perfect square is 25. And that is it. That's the only perfect square. So that means I'm going to be using 3 and 25. Information and putting it inside the square roots. this 25 is a perfect square, and the perfect square for that is the number 5, because 5 times 5 does give me 25, and then the square root of 3 just drops down, and this is my final answer. So I factor out, I find the perfect square. Remember, perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 25, 36, 42, 49. There is a perfect square list in your Google Classroom, so you're able to access that. And this is what we're going to be doing in our lesson. Here's a you do. You can pause the video and I'll give you the answer in the next few seconds. And here is the answer. Here is the answer for that next problem. If you have any other questions, please reach out.